Hey everybody, this is Apocalypse Doc, your doctor in the apocalypse, and welcome back to another short YouTube tutorial. Today we're going to be continuing the interaction system, and we're going to be adding the ability to open and close doors. So let's get started. So I'm back in my YouTube tutorial project, and I'm in my interaction system folder, and I've created a folder called doors. So you'll want to do that. Open that folder up, and we're going to want to create two actors. One is going to be the door handle, and the other is going to be the door. So let's do that. Right click, select Blueprint class, choose actor, BP underscore door handle. And then right click, make another blueprint class, actor, BP underscore master door. All right, so let's go ahead and open both of these. And I like to go ahead and save everything. First, we're going to add a static mesh component to the door. So I'm going to select the default scene root, add static mesh, and I'm going to rename this door mesh. You can rename it whatever you like. Compile and save. So let's choose a mesh for our door. So I've gone ahead and I've imported a door from the Polygon Apocalypse asset pack because I happen to own it. You can use just a simple shape or whatever door you have. So I'm going to select that, go to my door, and select that. There we go. And this is exactly the position we want. This bottom left, we want that to be where the default root is, okay? Because it's going to be swinging open this way, okay? Or this way. Compile and save. Good. So we are going to want to add the door handle actor to the door actor right over, you guessed it, where the door handle is. So first, let's go back to our door handle, select the default scene root, and I'm going to add a trigger. So type collision. And I happen to use box collision. You could probably use whichever one you want. And I don't want it too big. Let's see. Let's try 20, 20, and 20 for the box extent. All right. And we're going to want it to probably stick out a little in the X direction, the positive and negative X direction. So let's go here. Let's make that 100. Oh, that might be too big. Let's try 50, okay? Compile and save. And I'm going to rename this box trigger. Compile and save. So now, how do we add it to the master door? Well, first, highlight the door mesh, add, and type child actor. There we go. Select child actor, go over here to the right. You see child actor class. We're going to want to select our door handle. There we go. Compile and save. And so now let's go ahead and move this into position. All right, that looks pretty good. So the way I like to make doors is I want the player to have to do a line trace over the door handle, and then to interact with the door handle to open the door, not any area of the door, okay? So that means we want our door handle to have the interact interface. So let's add that. Go to class settings, go over here on the right, and let's add our interact interface. Compile and save. Perfect. And let's go ahead and implement this by double clicking. And this function, when you interact with the door handle, it's going to trigger a door open function. Okay, so we're going to need a door open function in our door. Then we're going to need a reference to the door in the door handle class. So let's do that. Let's go to our event graph in our master door, right click, do custom event. And I call this toggle door position. Compile and save. We're also going to need a couple more variables in our master door. We're going to need to know whether or not it's open. So let's make a bool called isOpen. Okay. We're also going to need a reference to our door handle. So let's go to the begin play. Hold S, left click to get that sequence node. We're going to drag the child actor into the graph, so so drag that in and do, let's see, type child actor. Yeah, get child actor. All right, and then we're going to cast to the door handle class. And this is only going to happen once when you begin play, so it won't be too expensive in terms of processing. And then we're going to drag out this pin and promote it to a variable. And this is going to be our door handle ref. A reference to our door handle. Compile and save. Let's try to work on this function right here, the toggle door position. Let's hold B, left click to get a branch. And we want to drag out isOpen, plug that in. If the door is already open, we're going to want to close the door. If the door isn't already open, we're going to want to open the door, okay? And that involves knowing the current rotation of this actor and then swinging it in 90 degrees on the z-axis and then swinging it shut, okay? Which is resetting it back to its starting position. So let's get a variable to that starting rotation, all right? So type right click and get actor rotation. We're going to promote that to a variable called starting rotation. Connect the execution pins, compile and save. All right, and we don't want this to get changed by anything, so I'm going to make that private, and then I'm also going to go ahead and put these variables in a do not edit category. All right. Okay. All right, so how do we open the door? How do we close the door? Basically, we're going to be changing the rotation about the z-axis, this vertical z-axis. One thing I like to do is when a player gets in front of the door, I don't want the door opening towards the player. I want it swinging inwards. So we're going to do that by creating these little areas in the front and back of the door. And we're going to open the door according to the direction that's opposite where the player is standing. So let's go ahead and create those areas. So let's select this door mesh and we're going to add a collision. It's going to be a box collision, and I'm going to call this in front. And then I'm going to go ahead and place this right in front of the door. It's going to need to be a bit bigger than that. There. So we'll call that area in front of the door. And let's duplicate this and call it in back. And then let's go ahead and move this behind the door. Perfect. Compile and save. So now we're going to want to know when is the player standing in these areas. So we're going to use overlap events. So right click here, go to add event, begin overlap, do the same thing again, end overlap. And you're going to want to do that for the back area as well. Perfect. Now we're going to need some variables. We're going to need a Boolean that said is player in front and another one that says is player in back. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and move that to the do not edit category. Compile and save. So when the player overlaps this in front box, we're going to want to set the is player in front variable to true. And when he is not overlapping it, we're going to want to set it to false. Okay, so let's drag out from other actor and do equals. We'll do the same here. Actually, we'll just copy and paste. And then drag out this pin and do get player character. There you go. Hold B, left click to get a branch. And then let's drag a setter out. So we're going to hold the Alt button and drag this variable out. And then we're going to set that to true. If the player character is overlapping this in front area, we're going to want to set this variable to true. Let's copy all of that and paste it. Don't forget to connect the other actor to this pin and uncheck true. And we're going to do the same exact thing for the in back area. So hold Alt, drag the is player in back variable out, connect the execution pins, select true for when the player is overlapping, and then leave it unchecked for false when the player is ending the overlap and not overlapping. Compile and save. And that's all we need for those functions. All right, so here we go. So what we're going to want to do if the door is not already open is we want to open it, okay? So we're going to want to set this door's relative rotation to its scene root, which is the corner here. And we're going to want to open it 90 degrees inward, okay? So you're going to want to grab the door mesh, drag it into the graph, and do set relative rotation. And we don't want to change anything about the X and the Y, but we want to change the rotation about Z. So let's right click on this and split the pin. And we're going to want to drag out the starting rotation, right click here and split that pin. And we want to keep X and Y the same. But we're going to want to add 90 degrees to the starting rotation in order to open it, okay? Now we're only going to want to add 90 degrees when we want the door to swing in that way. And that's when the actor is standing here. If the actor is standing in the rear area, we don't want it to swing 90 degrees positive towards us. We want it to go negative 90 degrees. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to use a select node. So drag off of this and type select. There we go. And then grab the if player is in front. So if the player is in front, we want it to swing 90 degrees, positive 90 degrees, okay? And if not, we need another select node. Drag his player in back. If the player is in back, negative 90 degrees. Otherwise, if the player is not in any of those areas, I just set that to 90 degrees. So what about closing the door? We're basically just going to set the relative rotation of the door, let's copy that and paste it, back to the starting rotation. So let's right click on this and recombine that pin, drag our starting rotation variable out and plug that in. Compile and save. There we go. Okay. So remember, we're going to want to call this event, the toggle the door position, from when the player interacts with the door handle. So how do we do that? Well, you can see we're going to need to get a reference to the door inside the door handle. So let's add a variable, and it's going to be our master door object reference. Compile and save. And we don't want anyone to change this, so we're going to make this private. Okay. So we'll grab the door ref, make sure it exists. So convert it to a validated get by right clicking on it. Okay. And then we're going to call that function toggle door position. And there you go. Compile and save. All right. So we need to actually set this reference, and we're going to do that on the begin play in the master door. But we made the variable private, so we can't access that. So we're going to need functions here. So add a function. It's going to be called set door reference. We'll just call it set door. That'll be easier. And we're going to grab this, a setter. So hold Alt, drag it into the graph, and then take this pin and drag it right there. Okay, perfect. So now let's go to the master door and let's set that. So we have a reference to our door handle. So let's drag that into the graph, convert it to a validated get. There we go. If that's valid, let's set the door. Set door. There we go. Let's spread this out a little. It's a little too confusing. And that's asking us to input a door reference. And since we're in the door, we just get a reference to self. Compile and save. All right, one thing we still need to do is we need to set this variable is open. So right here, when we've opened the door, we're going to want to drag a setter, hold Alt, drag this into the graph, check true for is open. And then when we close it, we want to redo that, but we want to uncheck it. There we go. Compile and save. And that should be good. So let's go to our third person map. There we go. And let's put our door. Let's put our door in so we can interact with it. Let's move where we're spawning, so we're going to be facing it. Okay, cool. Save that map. And let's try this out. All right, here we are. And remember, F is our interact. We can shoot our interact trace. And we're standing in front of it, so as long as we're aiming at the door handle and interacting, it should open. We have to make sure, in order for the door handle to work with the trace, this trigger needs to block the visibility channel. So let's go down to the collision. Okay, now it's overlapping everything. That's not helpful. Click custom, check ignore all, go to visibility, select block, compile and save. All right, now let's try this. And it opened for us, but it opened towards us, which was wrong. Maybe I need to do negative here. Let's try that. Yep, it opens, and I want to close it, and it closes. Open it. Yep, it opens out. I leave, and I close it. Perfect. And there you have it. That is how you make a door swing open and close with this interaction system that we've created. All right. And this is also how we make it so that the door is not swinging into the player's face. All right. And this will work with that first person character that we have as well, because we already have the interact logic in that character. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're interested in a video that has the doors swinging gradually and not just popping open, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to go over timelines. Otherwise, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps me out in the algorithm. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it, and have a good day.